Hi, it's Melissa Langton here with your People Paracetamol and the next installment in Unlocking the Code to High Performing Business video series. Today we've got Matt Gooding from Property Compliance Australia. Yes, compliance is a dry subject, but this interview is anything but. And keep an ear out for his story around having to deal with wasps in his working day. Thanks again and enjoy. Hi, Matt.
Hello, Melissa.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Fantastic. We have the wonderful Matt Gooding here with me, one of my amazing clients. So, Matt, I could go into so much detail about what you do and the business that you have, but I'm going to leave that all up to you because you're the best person at it. So can you tell those that are listening or watching out there, what do you do and why do you do it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, our business has been around for 7 years and our business is a compliance business, which sounds really boring, but effectively what we do is we support the real estate industry, and a lot of what we do is we check smoke alarms for new tenants moving into properties. And this legislation has actually been around in Queensland since 2007. So our business started in 2014. So we've got plenty of competitors that had a bit of a start on us. And I own this business together with a great business partner called Andrew, and he and I had worked together before. We started this venture in 2014, and yeah, we're really lucky now to have a really good, strong client base, not just in Queensland, but also in Sydney. And whilst we're in Brisbane, we service some great clients all the way up to the Whitsundays, which is always a lovely spot to have to go and visit.
Special. So why do you do this? What made you get into compliance and smoke alarms?
Yeah, it's funny. Andrew and I both worked in a fairly large government-owned corporation, and we loved being part of what felt like a big machine. But there was a point where we felt that it's a bit hard to hear or to be heard, I should say, and a bit hard to maybe influence outcomes, and lots of board papers and lots of people to sign off on something before you could actually feel like you could make a change on something and be effective in your role. So we started doing this, and I sort of fell into this. I actually left that big company to start a different business, and that business was okay, but it never really felt like it had any momentum to go anywhere long term. And so I left that and I parked that, and that was a tough decision to make because I'd poured 18 months into it. But I had to ask myself the question, I suppose, on how much am I going to let it keep costing me rather than how much has it cost me so far. So I had to make that decision. And a friend of mine had hurt his back, and he was a professional golfer, and he'd done some pool safety inspections, and he knew I was stopping the business I was doing, and he says, I'm going back to golf. I'll hand you a real estate client and you can do a few pool inspections and it'll give you some time to think. So we sort of fell into compliance, and we actually started with pool compliance, and now that only makes up about 5% of what we do.
Yeah.
And as a business, we've had to continue to evolve a lot to be able to survive early on. And now we continue to evolve to try and improve what we do and how we do it.
Yeah. So where are you? Started back in 2014. Where are you now?
In 2014, it was just myself trading the suit and tie I used to wear to work, and put on a polo shirt and some tradie boots from Totally Workwear, and I was doing pool inspections and getting stung by wasps and jumping fences and getting bitten by dogs and all sorts of things, and did that for a couple of years. And during that time, my wife and I had to sell our house to get through and all that type of stuff, which is, can't complain. That was the journey we chose at the time, but it was tough. And today we've got just shy of 60 staff and 150 real estate clients. And I used to worry about getting a couple of jobs a day, and now I worry if we don't get about 250 jobs a day.
That is exponential growth, if I've ever heard of growth before, Matt. So that's fantastic for a local Brisbane business to have that sort of growth. Congratulations, that's really great. So
Yeah, thank you.
and you said we're lucky. So I'm going to challenge you to say I don't think it has much. There's a little bit of luck there, but really that sort of growth requires some great knowledge and some great know-how. So what would be your tip to businesses that would like to see that sort of growth?
I think I think a big part of our growth has been that Andrew, my business partner, is incredibly skilled in areas that I'm not, and he will be kind enough to say that I'm really skilled in areas that he's not.
Yeah.
So Andrew is amazing at IT and could automate some things for us and create a lot of efficiencies, which are really important. And I think effectively you want to try and make sure as you grow that you find that right personality and you get them in the right job. And as we've continued to grow, there's times been where we've got a staff member over doing this job and we just think, I think they'd probably do better over here. And I think they'd actually prefer to be over here. So for us, I think making sure we've got the right people in the right jobs has been really, really important to having people come to work, be happy, be engaged in the job that they want to do and do the job well.
That's amazing. So how do you know that it's the right job and the right person? What's the process?
I think, well, part of it's some of the things that you helped us with, and that's understanding where people might exist on that DISC profiling.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's people like myself and Andrew who are Ds, so we can be a bit direct and maybe decisive and all those types of things. And but then it's about making sure, like, for instance, we've got a fantastic employee and team member called Jade. She's been with us for nearly 5 years, and she could sell ice to Eskimos, and she's an I. So she's wonderful at making sure people like her and getting great outcomes. So if there's something that we might not have done perfect, Jade's the perfect person to go in and understand how we could have got it better and then bring that back to the business so we change our process.
That's fantastic. So again, it goes back to having that understanding, communication, but also a process too, because it sounds like you apply the same knowledge and system every single time. Is that right?
Yeah, I think trying to ensure that we're consistent with our processes and the way that we deliver our service is really, really important. And as the teams continue to grow, we've had to spend, of course, more time on our documentation and our investment in training and all of that type of thing. So, it's ensuring that we can replicate over and over and continuing to improve that experience for our customers is really important.
And you mentioned that you're a very valuable business owner, sort of fills the gaps that you don't have. What would you say to someone that doesn't have a business owner? They might be out by themselves or just a small team. How do you fill those gaps, or what approach do you take when you haven't found the one when it comes to a business owner?
Yeah, I think there's that famous author, Robert Kiyosaki, I think his name is, of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm not a massive reader of books. I've always been terrible at reading books, but he always said to surround yourself with really smart people. And even in the early days, before we could afford to have our own sort of graphic designer, we were able to use fantastic services by having small sort of arrangements with contractors and things like that. I think the key is to acknowledge what you're good at and to scrimp and save every dollar you can to invest in great people to help you external. So,
so it's knowing those gaps and then knowing how to fill them.
And I think also we've just, some of the people that help us externally, even now, like accountants and things like that, I met those people before this business started. So I'd learnt them, I'd created those relationships even when we had another business. So I think it's just, identifying those people that you really enjoy working with and those people that are invested in helping you personally be a success over time and then, hopefully rewarding them back with some work along the way as well.
Because there's a lot of noise out there, isn't there? There's lots of options for people. It can get quite overwhelming. I sometimes find that people, they say, well, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. I'll go, well, no, what do you want to be doing?
Yeah, I think effectively you want to come in and enjoy your day too. And that means often doing the things that you want to do. And
Yeah.
I think early on, it's like everyone says, you work from 4 a.m. when you wake up and before kids get up for breakfast, and then you are working late at night and on the weekends and all sorts of things. And then over time, when you surround yourself with the right people, that becomes less and less so. But it's hard early on.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can attest to that as well. So Matt, I'm all about putting the human back in human resources. So I am dying to ask you, what would be one thing that people out there listening or watching wouldn't know about you that you'd love to share?
I think one thing that might surprise people, and in some ways it does sort of relate back to the business, but I think we started in 2014, and only the other day I had a renewal come through from Queensland Transport for like a limousine commercial vehicle. And I said to my wife, what the hell is this? Why is this? What's this renewal? This is this isn't ours. And she says, this is yours. This is your renewal from when you were doing Uber 4 years ago. So, we were 3 years into our journey. We had 8 or 9 staff, and we couldn't afford to pay ourselves. So I was driving Uber before and after work and on the weekends. And it was only a couple of years ago I sort of came out of the closet on that one and let people know that I'd been driving Uber. And of course, I got the reminder the other day, which was nice to know, that sort of got through that period. But that's something that people typically don't know about me.
Did you enjoy
I was an
it?
Uber driver.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I did it for a year or a bit over a year, and it was wonderful. Met so many good people, and just really tried to take the time to listen to people and hear what they had to say, and you learn things if you're keep an open mind. So it was good. It helped us get through. And I learned a lot during that time. So I was happy to do anything it took to get there. So
a lot of the times I'll hear of side hustles, but that takes the cake right now. A lot of people will do it while they're working to try and do their dream job. So it was the opposite for you, but
yes,
it really does highlight that it might seem like an overnight success, but there is a whole heap of stuff people just don't know. And I know personally, from my perspective, you've just slogged it out, and everything, both for yourself and Andrew, you deserve 100%. And it's those sorts of stories that I love to get out there, and to let people understand that, again, surrounding yourself with the right people, sticking to your zone of genius, which I've heard a few times in some of the podcasts that I listen to, and knowing where those gaps are and who can fill them is absolutely fantastic. So Matt, thank you so much for your time today. An absolute pleasure. And thanks for letting me delve into 15 minutes of your time.
No worries at all. I hope people find it somewhat enlightening.
Well, okay, Matt, have a great day.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.